Stop! Dear God, what a bunch of malarkey from you people. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your purveyor of truth, Damien Darko, taking a rare step away from the theatrics this evening to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to all of our hearts. Star Wars. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this isn't gonna be a review of episode 9. In fact, it can't be. And it can't be because I didn't see the damn thing. Alright. You know, the purveyor of truth has always said that honesty is the greatest virtue. And I feel it's time to get something off my chest here and just come clean to all you watching on the YouTube or the Book of Face right now. See, the purveyor of truth has been living a lie. It's been living a lie for 4, almost 5 long years now. And I think it's time to come clean. The purveyor of truth is coming out of the closet. Because since 2015, when I first laid eyes on The Force Awakens, your purveyor of truth, Damien Darko, has been affiliated with the infamous and reviled fandom menace. I know. I'm not proud of myself. You've been to the channels, presumably. You've seen the memes. You've seen the arguments. You've seen the the attack of corporate Disney. The riling against Rotten Tomatoes itself. Wasn't that something else? Hey, they actually did manage to get Rotten Tomatoes to change the way that they aggregate reviews so they couldn't be review bombed anymore. I mean, that's kind of impressive, you have to admit. Not that anyone really takes them very seriously anymore. But yeah, I've been living in shame. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. Oh, and on a serious note, seriously, Mom. I'm sorry I used the baby as a human shield to voice my own opinions without criticism. Okay? There. Do we have a clip of that? We just discuss the Rey character. Yes, we do. How's Rey doing? Alright, so Baby That Never Lies. What did you think of Rey's turn in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens? What? Radical feminism. Okay. Not my proudest moment. Not my proudest moment at all. But you know what? Listen, you gotta give the devil his due here. Since 1977, Star Wars has been a bit of a cultural phenomenon. And yes, I know. It was cobbled together through a bunch of serials that George Lucas saw when he was a kid. And he maybe got lucky. And he maybe even had the right people working around him in 1977 and in the two subsequent sequels of the original trilogy to stop him from going overboard and doing more characteristically George Lucas things. Jar Jar, excuse me. And I also haven't forgotten that when it was first announced that Disney was going to be helming a new series, when they had purchased the Star Wars IP for $4.5 billion, I was excited. I thought that the creative spark that led Lucas to creating that original mythology had kind of run its course, and I was excited to see what new creative minds can do with the property. However, therein lies the term, the operative word, as someone I used to work with said, operative word, creative. Creative. Because as flawed as the prequel trilogies were, watch the Plinkett reviews, if you will, I can at least say that they were coming from one mind that had one, admittedly, muddled creative vision. And I'm going to come back to exactly why that was muddled. It's not just because the special effects were a little bit wonky, and it's not just because the dialogue was horrible, and because Samuel L. Jackson didn't get to say that thing that we want Samuel L. Jackson to say, although I don't think that word exists in a galaxy far, far away. I don't know. But no, the real reason that the prequel trilogy didn't work, and something that we've been trying to forget since moving on to the sequel trilogy, was exactly why the tone of those prequels was so muddled and confusing. And it was because George Lucas was trying to bridge a gap between two things that ought not normally be bridged, or in particular, two generations that aren't ever really going to come together. What I mean by this is that he created Star Wars fully knowing that the series was for children. And then those children took the mythology, grew up, insisted that they wanted more of it, and Lucas tried to accommodate them to the best of his ability. But of course, it's kind of hard to take a series designed for children, just rated PG, and update it with more adult themes like, relationships and politics and maybe a harder edge of violence that an adult fan base of that childish material was going to appreciate. Now take a serious look at the original trilogy, if you will. It was pretty damn goofy, wasn't it? I mean, oh my god. Weird farm boy, as a moisture farmer, waits around for Space Gandalf, Space Wizard. We hadn't gotten the Lord of the Rings adaptations just yet. Space Wizard to fall from the stars. He was living on Tatooine. And to show up with his laser sword and take him off on an adventure to fight space N-words. And because of YouTube, I have to call that political party from 1930s Germany N-words. And that's going to be confusing for a lot of reasons. Hey, are you pro N-word or against N-word? Oh God. All right. So George Lucas started with this very basic idea, which he cobbled together from, again, old serials, including Flash Gordon of all things, combined with a bit of his literary knowledge, including an infamous book called The Hero of a Thousand Faces. And he based the characters off of well-known archetypes, knowing that these archetypes were timeless and that you can update them, change them from one location to another, take a medieval archetype or a Judeo-Christian archetype and place them in a galaxy far, far away, take Judeo-Christian religion and maybe mix it with a little bit of Hinduism, a little bit of Buddhism, and call it the Force, and bang, you have something that's timeless. And this took off because America of the 1970s, 80s was going through a kind of cultural reformation involving its concept of religion and mythologies and government and all that kind of stuff. And these movies, in addition to being special effects, standouts of their time, filled a void that was left that people didn't even know was there and didn't have words to articulate. There's been numerous theses written since then, but I digress. Let's get back on track. So the prequels come out. And the prequels, especially the first one, Episode 1, go back to that formula of catering to children. George Lucas was explicit in this. This is, uncontestable. We know that he said this was created for children. And yes, I'm aware that that is often viewed as an excuse for the poor quality of storytelling and characterization in Episode 1. And it was bad. I think it was objectively bad on a lot of levels. But I don't believe that George Lucas was lying just to cover himself either. He really did create that episode for children. He had that prequel trilogy, symbolically age with the character of Luke Skywalker, which symbolically represented the aging of the Star Wars fans themselves, and starting with a childish narrative, young Anakin, moving on to teenage Anakin, love story, moving on to adult Anakin, loss, betrayal, all that stuff. The stuff we actually wanted to see, by the way. They could have done the entire thing as Episode 3. I would have been just fine with it. How about you guys? Do you want to wait around and see the Gungan City? I didn't want to see the Gungan City. But a lot of the muddled tone was due to this necessary mingling of the ridiculous fantasy world of children with the adult expectations and preferences of the adult audience at that time. And of course, a lot of children grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had the prequel trilogies as their introduction to Star Wars. My cousin loves the prequel trilogies. I don't get it. I used to think when I was younger and kind of dumber myself that only dumb people could love the prequel trilogies. My cousin's an awesome guy. He's a smart guy. Loves the prequel trilogies because he saw them when he was a child. Because he saw them when he was a child. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Polar Express lightsaber. What the hell is a Polar Express lightsaber? Well, it's a train with a sword coming out of it. Why is there a train with a sword coming out of it? Well, because you can make money off it, of course. Now, little reference for those people out there that don't have kids, you can actually take your kids on a real-life Polar Express come Christmas time. I just did this recently myself. And it's great. Santa comes on board, they give him a bell, they read the book on there. It's really cool if you have young children. My son enjoyed the hell out of it. But it was obviously very goofy, and if you were to look at it from an adult standpoint, everybody on that train had kids. If they didn't have kids, I'd be looking at them saying, what the hell's going on? Can you please have a seat, sir? Now, if I was to look at this product and scrutinize this product by the standards of an adult perspective and actually, criticize it, it is ridiculous. My son loves this stupid thing. He's been beating me over the head with it for days now. It might get lost at some point in the not too distant future. Just saying. The Star Wars fandom has become like a mind trap, a mind prison for the energies and desires of an entire generation, more than one generation, 2 generations, of people who have never been able to escape it and grow the hell up. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not trying to start heat with everybody watching this. If you enjoy it, then fine. The reason I can't enjoy it, and I've just figured this out, is because I can no longer reconcile my need as an adult to have certain kinds of stories and narratives and understanding of like themes and pacings and these kinds of mechanical pieces of a story, I can no longer reconcile that with the childish, and I'm just going to say it, profiting, profit incentivized marketing of this new sequel trilogy. There was not a single, as far as I'm concerned, spark of creativity. The only spark of creativity that existed in the new three new movies was the one, not the spark, but the giant flamethrower initiated by Ruin Johnson, who I now honestly believe was trying to kill it. He kind of told us. He's not always the most subtle of directors. Oh, I like some of his stuff. He had his characters literally say things that were on his mind. The characters in that second movie in episode 8 were all soapboxes for his own opinions, and often his own opinions in a meta sense about Star Wars and how it needed to die. I don't know exactly what Disney was thinking, because I know that they're making a product and they seem to hire somebody who hated the product. I almost wonder, as much as I criticize that movie, if maybe I would have made the same one. It's like Luke Skywalker. Oh yeah, he was a loser. They were all losers. And he was an old man and is a hermit and lived on an island, and he threw his lightsaber away, and he didn't need it, but it's okay because the strong, independent woman didn't need to be trained by him anyway. Something, the end happens, he's dead. Thanks, Disney. Thanks, Johnson. I used to hate you. I'm starting to wonder if that was a good idea. I think maybe, in his own special way, Ruin Johnson was actually trying to destroy that mind trap that's been ensnaring so many of the Star Wars fans. As much as I loathed and hated him 2 years ago, I almost want to send the goddamn guy a thank you card right now. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for waking me up. And now I gotta address the fandom menace for a moment. Because to all you who are actually enjoying Star Wars right now, if you're enjoying The Mandalorian, if you're gonna go out and look for Baby Yoda merchandise, I'm sick of that thing, by the way. If you're gonna do that, fine, just fast forward to the video if you have to. But the actual fandom menace, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell have we been doing? The amount of energy. Just today, on the old Book of Face, I fought with somebody for paragraphs and what could be chapters of a damn novel about stupid plot minutia of the new movie, which I hadn't even seen. I just heard synopsises of this movie from critics who admittedly don't like it, and I'm sure I wouldn't like it either. And I just thought, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my life? I'm getting older. By the time this video comes out, by the time this lands, I'm going to be 37 years of age, and that is a long time to waste in this perpetual childhood fantasy land of Star Wars. Although I'd have to say I'd much rather be breaking out of the spell at 37 years of age than say, I don't know, 50 years of age. You're 50 years old. Get a goddamn hobby. Speaking of hobbies, fellow members of the fandom menace and anyone looking for a more creative outlet, these days you just build your own damn mythology. You know what? Here, buy my book. Buy my book. You can go buy this on Amazon right away. Go search Doorways from Damien Darko. You're tired of having to live in other people's fantasy worlds, especially when those fantasy worlds get hijacked and subverted by, corporately driven agendas and have movies put together by council and consensus and run 12 different endings through test screenings just to figure out which one is the least damaging. If you're tired of that, I got some news for you. It's actually time to stop complaining, because Disney doesn't care about our complaining, and to simply create your own universe. I think that's what we should do. And that's almost why I think we should thank Disney for absolutely botching this new series so terribly, for having the horse come out of the starting gate and stumbling and immediately breaking all four of its legs and just sprawling on the ground. Thank you. Thank you, Disney, for doing that. I'm free. There's been a great weight lifted from my shoulders. I don't even have to call myself a member of the fandom menace, because I'm not a fan. That's the great thing that I've discovered in the last couple days and the last week. When there are 9 movies to a series, and you can only watch 3 of them without cringing, when you're only 1/3 of the product is something you actually like, when 2/3 of it you wish never existed, then you're not a fan. You're free. You don't have to hate it anymore. It's so relieving. I feel like I've been lifted into the sky. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, speaking of being lifted into the sky, and speaking about Disney, I'm suddenly reminded of another Disney movie. A Disney movie that involved pirates and Indians and children that never grew old. Children that stayed in a special place. A place that was made just for them. And we understand why they didn't want to leave this place. I mean, who would? If it remained the same and static and was built just for them. But ladies and gentlemen, at some point the adventures of Neverland do come to an end. They come to an end, and the pixie dust runs out. And although fans of this new series may still be rancorously clapping their hands in approval, I, for one, can no longer believe. But the good news is, I don't have to. Good night, Internet. So, get it and edit. Oh, it's you. Your powers have grown considerable since we last met.
Dada, let's play.
Daddy doesn't want to play anymore. Daddy's tired.
I want to be a Luke Skywalker, and you be the bad guy.
Why do I always have to be the bad guy, you know? You got plenty of your own toys. I paid for them. Why don't you go play with those? This one's mine.
Okay, Dada, it's time to fight.
Get back to your room. I am your father. The extended universe! You monster!
Your powers are each, oh man. Grow up!
Return to the kitchen! Here's Daddy!
I have the high ground.
You underestimate my power. I saw the holiday special on bootleg VHS!
I'm the strongest ever!
No, no, no!
I got him.
Wait. You don't care about plot holes. You don't know how warp drive works. I hate you.
I love you. Bye-bye.